Michael Wilbon. LeBron James got off to a slow start, Michael, but he was spectacular in the second half. Can you put into perspective what he's doing in year 20?
Has anybody else run up into the stands that way to sort of stop momentum after chasing down a loose ball? Look, it's unprecedented. That's the perspective. It's unprecedented. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar averaged 23 points a game in his 38th year. But Kareem didn't have the full court effect by that time in his career that LeBron James has now, the energy you saw. And LeBron, remember, he wound up with, 21, 8, and 8 tonight and didn't score in the first quarter. Didn't even take a shot. Excuse me, wound up with a couple of free throws late in the second quarter. But, I mean, what LeBron is doing is unprecedented. No one else has had that kind of impact on the game this late, this many years into a career, and he's still doing that at a level. Look, I know he didn't get any MVP votes for the first time, and I don't know how many years, but it doesn't mean that LeBron is still not one of the handful of best players in the NBA, because he is.
And he got to conserve a little bit of that energy, only 32 minutes, and as you mentioned, this late stage in his career is pivotal. Anthony Davis, meanwhile, bounced back in a big way after only 11 points in game 2. What was different tonight?
Well, it's different every other game, isn't it? I mean, we're asking this every other game. And we're actually asking it every game. You had a great game tonight, but you didn't the last game. You were not good tonight, but you were great the last. This goes on and on. The beat goes on. And so what was different was, it was one of those nights where Anthony Davis was rebounding, pun intended. And he was so great defensively that the rebounds and block shots, which I guess were something like 11 and 4, don't really tell the story of what he did around the basket. Because he also got back after getting involved and defending, further up in the lane. He would get back and protect the rim. And he was doing both these things and being everywhere like a dominant Anthony Davis can defensively, and you heard him just tell Lisa Salters that. And so the Lakers talked about it. It was impressed upon them, impressed upon him that he needed to play that way, and he did. Anybody's guess as to whether that's going to happen in Game 4 or what's going to happen in Game 4. His defensive contribution has not been, as helter-skelter as the offense. I mean, we've seen the point production go up and down sort of radically. That has not been the case necessarily with his defense and rebounding and block shots. But tonight, he was a tornado out there, and the Warriors had no clue as to how to solve Anthony Davis. He changed another half dozen shots that don't even go into the box score that prevented them. I mean, he was just snuffing out potential layups in that first half. The Warriors at one point were up 40-29, and it seems like they should have been up 15 to 18 points when you consider all the missed close-in shots that they had, and a lot of those were caused by a flying, hulking Anthony Davis.
To be honest with you, Michael, I just think he watches ESPN and watches you and Stephen A. call him out about his performance, so he's constantly up and down.
We're going to limit that to Stephen A. Not all of us are calling him out, and certainly not at that level. Look, I think a lot of that is, we talked about this pregame. I'm glad you brought it up. Jalen Rose talked about how hard it is in any sport, in any profession, to be great at something every night. And one of the things I believe is there just aren't that many players who have greatness in them 4 or 5 games in a series. Those guys are the greatest players of all time if you're that consistently great multiple times in a series. Sometimes you have to be not happy, but you have to be, content with doing it twice in a series, or maybe a great series is a third time. People aren't great 6 or 7 times in a series unless their names are Jordan or Kobe or Bird or Magic or LeBron or Russell. So it doesn't happen all that often. And so I don't know that Anthony Davis should be expected to be as great every single game of a series as some people think he should be. I don't know that I'm buying into that theory.
All right, meanwhile, this series is far from over. What do the Warriors have to do in order to even this series at 2 games apiece?
I'm going to give you a cynical answer, a flippant answer at first, and say, well, how about paying attention? How about just coming to play? I mean, and I know that the Lakers were dominant defensively with Anthony Davis leading the way, and LeBron, I didn't care about the no shots in the first quarter. LeBron James was locked into what he wanted to do, which is involved getting his teammates involved offensively before he got necessarily involved in the scoring. And he and Anthony Davis were great. But the Warriors were so casual with the ball. In the first half alone, they had 12 turnovers that resulted in 17 Laker points. I mean, they were just almost like somebody woke them and they thought it was a game in mid-November instead of, early May. And I mean, just the everything from shot selection to attention to detail to careless turnovers. The turnovers to me, and maybe Steve Kerr and the players will disagree with this when we hear them post-game soon, maybe they think those errors were forced. I think many of them, if not most of them, were unforced. And the Lakers, I mean, the Warriors looked like anything but the championship team we know them to be. I expect something completely different in Game 4. Actually, the Warriors looked like they did in the game against Memphis, where they just sort of sleepwalked through that game. I don't understand what happened. Again, they were up 11, 40-29, and looked like they should have been up more and did nothing, essentially, after that the rest of the game. Garbage time lasted 9 minutes. Starters pulled. That's not the championship effort we expect to see, and certainly not the results from the defending champs.
Golden State only shot 50% from three in Game 2. 29% in Game 3. That's not going to get it done, especially against this tough Lakers squad. Game 4, Monday night. That's our Michael Wilbon. He knows everything you need to know about on SportsCenter. Thank you, man.
The Lakers' 30-point win in Game 3 ties the second largest win by any team in 137 playoff games against the Steve Kerr-era Warriors. It actually ties another LeBron James team. The 2016 Cavs also beat the Warriors by 30 in the 2016 finals. New on SportsCenter, here's Darvin Ham.
We just... was great, us being aware of who was on the floor for them, who's coming out, what combination of players are out there, which kind of dictated, some of our coverages, and we were able to switch up our pitches. And but just the competitive edge, that's something we talked about between Game 2 and this game tonight was just, we could talk coverages, adjustments, and all of that, but the basic foundation of us executing anything is our approach, our energy, our effort, our urgency. You can audible, you can come out with coverages all you want, but if you don't put anything into them, then nothing is going to work. So us just come, and then sometimes you're not going to get it right. It's not going to be perfect, but if you have a ton of energy, you're competitive, you're competing as a group, individually to a man and as a group, things usually work themselves.